I know you guys are probably like, what does this have to do with me moving to Nigeria? Please follow along. I think it's very important because we all have our own stories, but this is mine, and it'll help you put things into perspective. Believe me, I don't care how Nigerian you think you look. I don't care if you think you can whip up the Nigerian. I don't care if you speak your native language, because I do, and I speak it better than English. People know you. It's like a stamp on your head when you first get here, and they know that you're from overseas, and they think that you're stupid. Why, hello there, fellow humans. If you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Mary. You can call me MJ for short. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. This is my vlog channel. You may know me from another channel. Before I get started, I just want to say that this video was very much inspired by another YouTuber by the name of Etitem. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Sorry, my love, if I butchered your name, but I think I said it correctly. So the universe is a funny place, right? Because like this girl's video had been recommended to me like 10,000 times, and I just never click on it because I'm so big on my time, more lately than ever. I've been working really hard at self-discipline, so I don't really spend a lot of my time trying to get caught up in the YouTube rabbit hole or Instagram or anything else for that matter. I literally just got back on social media, but that's not even the point. I didn't get around to clicking in. I think I added a couple of her videos to my watch later. Long story short, there was a video that came up in my suggestions that was called I regret moving to Nigeria. Naturally, I clicked on it because I have so much to say about this topic. But if you click this video, I'm assuming that you are either someone who just moved back, who is thinking about moving back. Maybe you moved back and it didn't work out for you and you've moved back to wherever you came from already and you're simply just looking for validation. I don't know what you're here for. I just want to say that if it feels like I'm talking fast, it's because I'm naturally a fast talker, and also I'm working against time in the sense of wanting to give you guys important information, but at the same time wanting to keep it short. I have narrowed down 7 things to consider if you're someone that's been looking to come to Nigeria. Depending on how long this video runs, I'm going to break it down into parts, simply because I may or may not be able to edit this video, and we'll talk about that at a later time, the reasoning behind it. I can be a little scatterbrained, and most people who know me know that. Editing usually works for that, but we don't have that opportunity today once again, so I have made little bullet points and I'm just going to follow those. First, I'm going to start with an introduction and a disclaimer. We're going to do the disclaimer first. Disclaimer, guys, this video is most likely going to help you if you have lived elsewhere. What am I even saying? If you believe, of course you've lived. I'm going to be telling my story from a Wow, I never realized how much I mess up on these videos. Okay, so I'm going to be telling my story from a perspective of an American. What? An American? This video is literally not happening today. I couldn't. I'm going to be telling my story from a perspective of someone who has not lived in Nigeria in almost 2 decades. Living in America, to be specific, because some references I'm going to make, if you live abroad elsewhere but not necessarily in the States, they may not really register well for you, but just please try to follow along and make it apply to yourself as much as possible. But I can only tell my story. I can't tell someone else's. As far as I know, I've only ever lived in Nigeria, Houston, Las Vegas, Dubai. So those are literally my experiences. That's all I got. Now that the disclaimer is done, let me give you guys a little bit of an intro if you're new to me. As I said before, my name is Mary and I left Nigeria in 2000. In the year 2015, I had a really strong urge to come back home. I could not place my finger on why. It had just been nagging me, and plus my cousin was getting married and she was coming out here to do it. So I initially put it in my plans. Work came about, I wasn't able to go, yada yada yada. My brother came down here. He was here for 10 days, had the time of his life, came back and kept telling me how much fun he had, so I was even more jealous. So I was like, you know what? I cannot wait till it's my turn. 2016 comes around. I'm in the middle of starting a new business in the States. I was living in Las Vegas at the time. I lost 2 of my best friends. I was having an emotional roller coaster of a moment, and I didn't stay. Luckily for me, around that time, my sister had sent me a link for a job that she thought I would love. Unlike most people, I don't really like to talk about the projects I'm working on until I put them into fruition and I actually have them going. The only people I usually tell when something is like in a baby step like that are people that are my mother, for sure. She always knows. And people that I'm working with and that are working for me. Does that make sense? That's it. Anyone else kind of finds out when it happens. So I didn't really talk to anybody about it, including my sister. So she didn't know that I was working on a business. So of course, she was like, I think you would love this job. She knows that I like to travel. I was already doing that on my own dime. So she was like, why wouldn't you want to do it for a living? Anyway, she sends me this little link. I click the link and I'm like, ooh, cute outfits. I could wear that. But at the same time, that was December of 2015 and I just was not trying to be deterred. So I put the link away. So now fast forward to 2016, my friends are passed away and I'm kind of needing a little bit of a break, a mental break. So I flew out to LA, interviewed for the job. I got it super easy. It required for me to move to Dubai. It was a job as a flight attendant. For those of you who don't know, I applied to be cabin crew with Emirates. I was accepted. I know you guys are probably like, what does this have to do with me moving to Nigeria? Please follow along. I think it's very important because we all have our own stories, but this is mine and it'll help you put things into perspective. So all cabin crew are entitled to 30 days leave in your country of citizenship, and you can break the 30 days into however many parts you want. However, you're entitled to one round trip free ticket to your country, your city. In my case, Emirates did not fly to Las Vegas, so they offered the next best thing, which was Houston. That's where I grew up. And that's where a lot of my family was. Pretty much everybody lives. So I was like, to be honest, like, I'd rather go see my mom. We all moved to the States together, by the way, but she relocated back here once I got on my own in the States. So I was like, I'd rather go see her any day. Like, she visits often too, but I'm more closer to my mom and my siblings. They have family. They have, they got their own wives and husbands and houses and jobs. They got other things to do. They'll see me when they see me. So I wanted my annual leave to be to Lagos, and they told me, well, you have an American passport, so we need something showing that you have something tied to this country. We can't just go sending you to Nigeria. Okay, fair enough. So by opportunity, and it's just by circumstance, I happened to have to come here and join Emirates from here because I needed to come to get a passport. Does that make sense? So that's how I ended up in Nigeria. That's where this entire story is going. I flew myself to Nigeria for the first time. It had been 16 years, so it was 2016. This was June of 2016, like mid-June of 2016. I was here for 2 weeks, and I guess I could say that was the very beginning of my exposure to this country. Remember that I left when I was itty bitty, so I can't say that I had too much of an opinion of this place. So this was really like, I didn't know much. I didn't remember much of anything but the house that I grew up in, which is the one that I'm currently in right now. So obviously a few things have changed because renovations have happened, but other than that, like, this little area here was my comfort zone. I didn't know nothing about mainland, island, all of that stuff. I didn't know anything. I was brand spanking new and just so excited to come home after all this time. But it was 2 weeks and Emirates had so many requirements for me to complete, so I was really focused on that. And let's just say I got out maybe 2 or 3 times because I was able to get a hold of an old classmate who found me on YouTube. So he kind of took me a few places or whatever and kind of showed me around a bit, but it was not very much a social and discovery trip. It was a trip just to get all my requirements for work and then jet off to Dubai. But I will say on that trip, the first thing I learned is going to apply to the first bullet point. So I guess we should talk about that now. The first thing is the system, okay? Number 1. If you've never heard it before, hear it today. Nigeria's system is, there is no system, okay? Well, alright, let me be fair. Let me just talk about Lagos because I don't know about everywhere else. Lagos' system, in my opinion, is that there is no system. Nothing works and nothing is put in place for how things are supposed to go. Now this happens to be something that I've talked to a lot of returnees about, and they quite enjoy it. And we'll get to that in a second too. But that was the first thing I discovered. From the process of going to get a passport, them asking me to show proof of citizenship. They wanted me to go get some big fancy certificate that I was supposed to go get from the king, or it was just, you could tell it was bullocks, if you're being honest. Anybody that has common sense would have been like, why? Where is this king and where does he live and where am I supposed to find him? In other words, it was just the way of them extorting money out of me, which is fine. From the very beginning, I was very certain on the fact that I wanted a very easygoing trip. So I was not prepared to scream on top of my lungs and fight for my rights on that trip. That's not what that was about. I was getting ready to go on a journey of a lifetime. I just did not have the energy. So I was willing to pay this buddy, okay? $20K was just his pay, just to get the certificate of Origin, I think it's what it's called, that allows you to apply for the passport. And he tells us, we tell him it's going to be a rush service, like we literally have to go. I was leaving in 3 days. He says, okay. He does not provide it. We get there and he's acting like completely clueless. He's like, oh, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, all the staff is like, dude, you know that the person that signs off on this doesn't come but every Thursdays. Long story short, that was just one of 20,000 experiences. Because we're not even going to talk about my experience from when I landed in the airport and how people were already trying to take advantage of me because they can tell. Believe me, I don't care how Nigerian you think you look. I don't care if you think you can whip up the Nigerian. I don't care if you speak your native language, because I do, and I speak it better than English. People know you. It's like a stamp on your head when you first get here, and they know that you're from overseas, and they think that you're stupid. So that's neither here nor there, but that's kind of what happened with that situation. So the system, that's what you're going to find out, is that there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense. And even when you question it and try to, rationalize it, you're only ever going to hear, and I'm talking about people from all calibers that I've met in this country, the response is, this is Lagos. This is Lagos. It's like, oh, well, why is a custom officer allowed to just shoot a guy on the road because he didn't give him money? This is Lagos. Like, what? So this is the response that I was getting a lot of. And very quickly I realized, oh no. Let's just say my honeymoon phase went away very quickly, okay? I still maintained to a lot of people that Nigeria became a place of peace for me. And I think it had to do with the fact that it's still my roots, and it was calling my name. So a lot of it felt peaceful. I'm gonna let you guys in on the secret. When I first got here, I used to like the sound of the little cock-a-doodle-doo thing, the chicken in the morning. As I was saying before, I was really interrupted by my rude-ass camera. Y'all know the little sounds in the morning? Like, when you wake up, I really like that sound. Generators. Check that out. Generators used to make me happy. And it was not for nothing. It was just for the fact that, like, I miss that. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It reminded me of where I was, and that was happy for me. And I remember a lot of people are like, what's wrong with you? How can you find this ruckus so peaceful? Like, all the hustle and bustle, and you find peace here? Well, I'm going to say first things first. I wasn't really very social. Then again, I didn't have any friends. I didn't really go out. I was really just here chilling, eating good, smelling good, feeling good, all of that. So I really, my life was very simple in that 2-week period. So, and also, once I became crew, I was coming to Nigeria very often. So I would come on off days, because Dubai to Lagos is like 6 hours away. So I would come on off days. I came on leave a few times. That's neither here nor there. The system doesn't work, and the people are complacent about it. They're apathetic about it. They've just accepted that this is what the country is going to be. And it's like, out of, 200 million people that live here? Who am I? You know what I mean? Maybe you think you're going to come here and you're going to change things. And you know what? I applaud you for that. But just remember, this is not a one-man, one-woman battle. That is not where that's going to go. Because the system, I think, is a derivative of the mentality. I tell people this all the time. A lot of people say, oh, the corruption and the begging for bribery and all of this that you deal with, people say that it just has to do with the fact that the country is so poor. And that is why people have, they're so desperate. That's point number 7. Let me not jump ahead. There is no system. That's it. Let's leave it at that. In a lot of places, money is power, but in Nigeria, money literally reigns supreme. It's like, you can get away with murder literally here. As long as you got the money to pay it off, you're good. And I'm sorry, coming from a system where it's like justice is justice, it's like, whoa. By no means, as I've already disclaimed earlier, I'm not making this video to bash Nigeria. I'm sharing with you guys the culture shock that I experienced and what you can probably look forward to as well. If your story is like mine, if you left at a young age and you've been gone so long, I just don't want you to show up and be, disappointed because, whatever. Which leads me into point number 2, the quality of life. All of the things that I just talked about, the fact that the system is so broken or inexistent, it definitely affects one's quality of life here. Hands down. I don't care how much money you earn. And that was one of my beliefs as well. I thought, well, I earn well in the States, and I don't know if I mentioned that. Marketing is what I went to school for in the States, so it's just ironically what I'm good at. I started off as a computer engineering major, and I just didn't go that route. So marketing comes natural for me, and I found a way to do it online and earn money without always having to sit at a desk. So that means that I can live anywhere that I want and still earn money. So once I got in that position, Nigeria really started to ring a bell. Amongst all of my mom's kids, everybody's married with children, with a house, and all of that in the States, you know? And I have been the one that kind of had that commitment. I didn't really talk to that many people about it. I think my mom, and that's it. It has just always been a silent goal of mine to build my very first house here. I'm not saying I never wanted to own houses anywhere else, but Nigeria has always been, that's just always been my thing. I grew up with the idea that I can get so much more from my money. You know, I look at tens and $100 million houses in the States and I'm like, that's not impressive. Like, if I take that money back home, how many of you guys have thought that? Thumbs up this video if you feel me right now, okay? So I used to always have this mindset, like no matter what I do, I lived in really nice high-rises. I always, you know, I always pick a place that's very safe, very like modern, very like clean line type vibe, you know, and convenient. However, it wasn't because I just wanted to pay ridiculous rent. People would always tell me, like, you know, you can literally have you can pay for 2 houses with the rent you pay here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware. But it was just this subtle thing on the inside, like, I know that I'm putting money aside to go build in Nigeria. I know that that's my first goal before I ever buy a house anywhere else. So how disappointed do you think I was when I got here and I just realized how bad the quality of living was, no matter how much money you had, right? I'll give you an example. So I visited a couple of properties, both online and in person, just to go see, you know, like to kind of range it out, what it would cost me if I decided to make a move here. And I was so baffled to see some of the amounts that were being named. Now, granted, they were on the island, but that's because once I started to make friends, you know, that's where a lot of my friends were living, and I started realizing that Nigeria is very cliquey like this. Nigeria is very, they just follow whatever everybody's doing at that very moment, you know. So right now, it's the island, you know, it doesn't matter. Most people would rather just live with 4 or 5 different people, you know, in one apartment in Lekki, phase 1, versus own a house on the mainland. It's just, again, it all boils down to the mentality, but we're not there yet. So anyway, I was saying I would visit the properties, and some of them will look very nice on the outside. I'm just going to be very honest. Some, especially like in the Ikoyi area, Banana Island area, they were very nice on the outside. Disclaimer. But then you would walk in some of them, and it'd be like, my 3-year-old niece could put these tiles together better than this. Do you know what I mean? Like, stuff would be just sloppily done as far as the finishing. I was so baffled by the placement of certain things and the quality of products that were used for the price they were asking for it. Even shopping, right? So I took my mom shopping on one of my off days when I was living in Dubai, and, you know, went to get like refrigerator, dishwasher, that big AC system thing, or the washer and dryer, blah blah. And I couldn't believe the prices. Remember, I have this thing where I should have said that in the beginning. Because I haven't lived in Nigeria in so long, I really didn't know. Like, I know what the worth of $1 is, but I don't know what the worth of a naira is. Does that make sense? So if I hear 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, I don't really have a point of reference. Does that make sense? Unless I pull out a calculator and I'm like, everything sounds like little money to me. I don't know if that makes sense. And I'm not encouraging anybody to do what I did. I'm just saying. So, you know, I was spending $500,000 here, 400K here, 300K here, you know, just buying all this stuff. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but then you convert it and you're like, for that quality of stuff, not so much, right? So that's more on the posh side, so to speak, or whatever. Let's just talk everyday things like the electricity, right? I really feel like I should lead with this. I feel like a lot of us that live in the States or just abroad, we really take for granted 24-hour light. Like, we just look at it as, I mean, it's a thing. You pay your light bill, you got light. It ain't nothing to really discuss. It's not something you ever bother yourself with. Generator, what's that? You know what I mean? So you don't really realize how big of a deal it is until, you know, someone like me, for example. Obviously, I am a content creator on YouTube, so, which is a huge pastime of mine. YouTube, I always say, is my therapy. Yes, I make money from it, but even if I wasn't making any money, I would still be shooting those videos, because I was shooting the videos when I wasn't making any money. So even for me, like the minor fact that, like, as I'm making this video, that awareness that you have to have in the back of your head, like, oops, the lights might go out in the middle of this video. Yes, we got a generator, we can turn it on, but now I got to factor in that noise. I got to bring in an external mic. Like, those things that you wouldn't really consider anywhere else definitely play a role into your quality of life, you know. And if you are, you know, on the less privileged side, you may not be able to afford a generator. You may not be able to afford gas to put into the generator. Like, so you sleeping in the heat, you know, with mosquitoes and whatever have you, you know what I'm saying? But and then you come from the States, and maybe you weren't wealthy there, but you definitely didn't have that issue. Does that make sense? Then you leave your house, you know, and whether you're, depending on your mode of transportation, for me it's Uber and Taxify, which is also a nightmare depending on who your driver is. And you see how bad and how angry people can be in this traffic, and don't even think that you're going to drive yourself around, okay? Because between your initial source and your destination, you've been cussed people out, swore on their parents' lives, and you've done a lot by the time you get there, okay? So it's like, what I meant was, I discovered this as time went on. So obviously I resigned from Emirates August 2017. There was a hurricane in Houston, so I wasn't able to fly out to Houston. So instead of staying in Dubai for, you know, TBA, they didn't know how long the airport was going to take to reopen. So I was like, well, send me to Lagos. Like, what's the point of staying in Dubai right now? So they sent me here, and I just ended up here by default. Does that make sense? So this was not supposed to be part of the plan. Was like, go to Houston, stay for a week, and then move right back to Vegas. But because I ended up here, I took it as an opportunity, because all those times that I came as crew and on my off days, I was simply just not here long enough to observe the city. So I was like, let me take this time, since I have ended up in Nigeria now, I'm going to put everything I have to do in the States on hold, and I will really explore this place from an opportunity standpoint, right? Because I felt in my head, if I don't do it now, Lord knows when else I'm gonna have the opportunity or time or desire, you know, to ability to come back. So I was like, let me just take this opportunity to see what Nigeria has to offer from any standpoint. So I came up with, you know, 3, I think, solid business ideas, put together a business plan for them, you know, consulted with a few people that were like experts in that industry. And then the 2 things I initially struggled with are we there yet? Let me make sure I'm not like fast forwarding. Okay, yeah, I'm fast forwarding, but it all goes into one another. But yeah, let's pause. Let me just join what I was saying before. The experience of the first 2 weeks, the blissful, oh my god, Nigeria, generator, oh my god, this fruit that I haven't had in a long time, oh my god, this vegetable that's here that's not in it, like little small things like that give you nostalgic vibes, that faded away very quickly once I made this proper trip here. Does that make sense? And so I was now in the reality of things, in the sense of I'd made a few friends at this point, so I had a social life, I was starting to meet people, I was starting to learn how the culture was here, and I was just like so shocked. Oh Lord, this camera keeps stopping, man. Let me find my train of thought. What was I talking about? Quality of life. So the main takeaway from this that I'm actually wanting to drive home is that there's some things that you have been afforded, some basic needs, basic, you know, things in the States that are looked at as a luxury here. Things that I can probably tell you, and things I haven't even quite figured out yet, right? Does that make sense? So it's like with every single day that passes, that you start, like the longer you stay in Nigeria, the longer you realize just how hard it is for some people. But then, you know how they say, like, if you've never had something, that you don't know what you're missing. So I think it's beyond the fact that you're living overseas. I think it depends on how you were living there. It wasn't that hard of a transition for me from most of the stuff at home, if I'm being honest, because while I was crew, I had the opportunity to like join my mom doing a renovation and fix things up and ship furniture and send things over here and make it as homely for myself as possible and make it as comfortable at home as possible. But as far as the country as a whole, you cannot control that standard. And that's what I'm saying. Like public restrooms in the States, like you don't, the basic public restroom in the States, the toilets at the airport, for example. You know what I mean? Like little small things like that. Expecting tissue to be there, expecting to have something to dry your hands with, like small little minute things. Like I already talked about electricity, like things that you just didn't think were such a big deal, like people following the street light. If you're a female, how hard it is to find someone that actually knows what they're doing. Whether it's your hair, your nails, that's taken me 3 years. It just depends, you know, it depends on what kind of person you are. For me, that was a big struggle for me. I've just kind of gotten to the point where I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna stick to braids because I know people know how to braid hair here. As a woman that does not wear wigs, I don't own any wigs. I have no problem with them. You ladies look great in them. I don't personally wear them. I think that they look like they're hot as hell, and I just, not my cup of tea. So that was definitely a struggle for me because, as I said, Nigeria is a very trendy place and they will wear the trend out. And right now the trends are the long claws and the wigs, neither of which I do. So when I go get my nails done, I struggle too because they want to make it like yay high, and I'm like, I am not trying to pluck my eye out of my skull. That's not what the mission is here. At least that's what they look like to me. I have people that I know that are able to function properly. You know, some of them have found a way to make it work, obviously. I personally have very sensitive skin. I always think I'm gonna scratch myself. Like, there are so many reasons, you know, from a practical standpoint, and then even just from the looks, I don't really care for it, but everybody has their preference. But little small things like that, where in the States it's like, yeah, people are wearing long nails, yeah, people are wearing wigs, but people are also wearing sew-ins, people are also doing other things, people are also wearing short nails. So you have little options like that of upkeep, which still continues on to the quality of life. From a monetary standpoint, those things are still pretty cheap to me. Getting your nails done here is cheap. Getting your hair done here is cheap to me, because I don't look at it as, oh, what's expensive in Nigeria, because I don't know what's expensive in Nigeria. I look at it as, how much would it cost me in the States, and if it's anywhere around that ballpark, I'm good. Does that make sense? So but again, it's always the quality that you're going to get for your money that gets me. It's like, oh, really, this is what you consider a good job? Okay. So it's that. So you know, you learn and you adapt. So I mean, all these trips that I made, I mean, from when I first came here in 2016, and while I was crew, I probably came a total of like, I don't know, 15 times in that year that I was crew. And then since I've resigned, which was basically August 2017, I have been back twice to Nigeria now. The first trip was quite long. The one that I told you, like, I kind of just ended up here, I stayed a while to try to explore what my options were. I was here for 6 months. This trip is going to be a total of 2 months. So a lot of people will try to tell you, well, what do you know about Nigeria? You don't live here. M made a video about someone who, I think she's been here a total of 9 months now. So she's speaking from her experience thus far. And honestly, between all my trips, I've lived here for over 9 months as well. So I feel like to a certain extent I can speak to, you know, a level of authority on what my experience has been and what I feel like it would be for, you know, the average American, or, you know, I don't know, wherever people are, but America. Okay, I'm going to say America because I feel like you can relate to me the most. If you're one that really enjoys like foreign cuisine, you may not love it here because you know what it's supposed to taste like. So in comparison to the average Nigerian who just lives here, who's just excited to try something new, you may be a little more critical. When I come to Nigeria personally, I'm just excited to have Nigerian food, authentic Nigerian food. So I don't really have hang-ups on food because I like Nigerian food. So I go to Nigerian spots. And I'm not bougie, girl. I'm not. I literally will go, I don't care, I'll go to the amala spots, and the next minute I'll be having sushi. Like, I really don't discriminate, but I try not. There's just certain things you learn as you go, the things that you don't have here. Like for me, for example, I don't have burgers here. I have found a place that sells a really good suya burger, which is totally different, but I won't eat burgers. I won't eat a lot of stuff. I won't eat Mexican food here. I won't eat Chinese food here. I just personally don't think that they're made in the way that I'm used to and the way that I enjoy, so I don't even bother with it. I did find a really good sushi place, which is my absolute fave. It's even fresher. I couldn't believe it. It took my friend 2 years to convince me to try it. But it's fresher sushi than even some places that I've had in the States, or even in Japan. Isn't it crazy? So food-wise, I guess I'm just trying to touch on all the things that people may worry about. Food-wise, I think you'd be fine if you like Nigerian food. You'd be okay. Or if you're just not picky about food in general. Which leads me into what I was talking about, the quality of living. Like everything, because of the traffic, I don't know about you guys, but I don't do traffic. So if you live in a place in the States like New York, where you're used to having like public transportation that runs properly, you know, or even in Canada where you're like, you know, Montreal maybe, where you're like used to like the pedestrian life, or in the UK or whatever, it's very hard when you live in a city where you might as well have a car because it's hard to get around. But even in that car, like, traffic is what you spend half of your life doing, unless somehow you program your life. And a lot of people will say that if you just know when to leave the house, and it's like, that's like LA. I chose not to live there because of that. I don't have time when I got shit to do. I don't have time to program my life around traffic. That's just stupid. To me, it's a waste of a life to spend your time indoors waiting for traffic to clear. I feel like you're just not living, you know? And so that's what I was saying. Like, little things that, as adventurous as I am as a person, I'm always so put off because the minute I put my destination in Google Maps and I see all the red, I'm like, oh no, I'm dressed and I look beat for the guys, but I'm not going anywhere because, girl, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm not about to, like going to yoga, for example. You know, I found a really, really good yoga group, and, you know, so excited to go. And then she gave me the address, and I punched it in, and it was like 2 hours. I'm like, oh no, I would have needed a lot of meditation doing that Uber ride, you know. So I didn't do that. So then I found a workaround about that. I found a channel I really liked on YouTube. I just get on the balcony in the morning and I do yoga there. So I say all of these things. I'm simply trying to show you guys that you can find. There's some things that you do have a workaround. But it still doesn't change the fact that these are all small things that I'm used to being able to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, getting my nails done in the States takes me, like, I make the appointment, I show up, I'm done. Zam. Here it's like the drive to get to where you're going is longer than what you're trying to do. So it just really discourages you from doing shit. Do you know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I look at it, if I'm being honest. So I try to find alternatives. There's some things you just can't find alternatives for, like the sushi place that I really like. I try to go at least once a week. It's on the island. And my friend laughs at me because he's like, you do this 2-hour ride to come to me just for us to have sushi and then you go back home. It's so silly. And then, so I found a place here that I thought, oh my God, yay! You know, like, but it was a South African-based restaurant. You may know it if you live here. They have a couple of locations already around Lagos. And I was like, yay, they sell sushi. So I thought I'll go give it a try because I'm like, hey, listen, if I find one on the mainland, I'm not coming out there for that no more. So I thought I found my fix. I went 2 nights ago. Basically, I ended up ordering like 3 different, things of sushi. And then, which were so-so. They weren't great and they weren't fresh, but I ate them. What's this on my wall? Sorry, getting distracted. It was so-so, but it also wasn't filling, but I was glad that I didn't buy a whole bunch because I wasn't really impressed with the quality of the food. So I ended up ordering like a whole nother meal that I thought, okay, that is the specialty here, so I can't go wrong. When the check came, my friend was like, what? 18,000 for just you? And, you know, when a person says that, it's like, let me see, what is 18,000? Give me a second. Today. That's give or take $50. Okay, I guess that's quite a meal. But if I go have sushi, sometimes I expect that that's going to be that way, unless it's a happy hour. But again, I don't look at it like that. And maybe it's not a good thing, but I don't. But if I pay $50 in the States for some sushi, I know the quality that I'm going to get. Does that make sense? And I guess this is what I keep saying is, a lot of times, even with the money you're paying, whether it's for living, rent, I'm scared to have a nice car here. I've seen people with G-Wagons. I'm like, how do y'all do it? Like, because the average guy on the tuk-tuk, what do we call it? KK Marwa, if that guy hits you, okay, guess what he finna say? Sorry. And he's finna grab the whole village and everybody's about to beg you. He don't have insurance. Oh, that's a big one. Guys, in the States, you hit someone, they hit you, whatever, you exchange information, you call the cops, whatever you got to do, got the insurance information, they'll handle the claim, typically speaking. Forget about that here, okay? You're going to have to take that apology, okay, and just move on with your expensive car. Things like that they're unheard of for me. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it to knock the country, guys. I want you to hear, if you're watching this video, and you live wherever you live in, just understand the mentality here, They don't mean any harm. This is just logical for them. And so that's what's happening, okay? And yeah, that's just what it is. The moral of the story is no matter how much money you have and are willing to spend, you are still dealing with the same jaggedy roads, the same traffic, the same terrible customer service wherever you go, etc., etc. So don't let anyone fool you into thinking, oh, Nigeria is fun if you have money. Yeah, if you're just visiting for a week and you just want to go party, nightlife, yes, we got that. But you're talking about like building a life and moving here, you're gonna need to do your research. It's not a place that you just hop on over and be like, all right guys, I've been living here for 20 years, but I'll see you later, leaving Australia, deuces. No, like, and if you do, you better come with a hell of a, you know, tough spirit, because you can make it, but you know. And I'm just gonna end there because I feel like this video stopped like 15 times already, so like this is already 30 minutes long. I don't mean to put you guys off, but this video started off as me trying to do just a straight talk through, because I mentioned that I may not be able to edit, which leads into the little quality of life thing that I was talking about. A couple of days ago we had low current, not high, low current. I didn't even know that was a thing. So I've been coming here 3 years and I thought I had learned, okay? We got surge protectors all around the house, but this is one situation that I still needed to learn, right? And blew out pretty much all the lights in the house. All the lights, like all the electronics, things like that blew out, except like the bigger electronics. But the smaller ones, phone chargers, this and that, Fire TVs, all of that stuff blew out. And the moment I heard everything sparking at the same time, I ran straight to the outlet that I had my laptop plugged in. But I guess I was a little too late because my charger blew out as well. And okay, I'm in the US. I'm gonna run straight to the Apple store and buy another one, right? It just seems easy enough, right? I called the iStore here and make sure that they have the charger. He says, yes, I get there. Of course they don't have it. They have like an older version of a MacBook charger. I was like, okay, cool. When will y'all have it? It says in a few days. Obviously, I don't have a few days. When I need to edit a video, I need to edit a video. I'm so behind in a lot of my channels, so I really pre-filmed and I wanted to edit. So I went on gg.ng, and then they have another one called Jumia, which are just apps like Amazon, or, you know, I bought it, or, you know, I bought it, let go, or offer up. So I went on the app, and wouldn't you know, dealt with 3 different people, okay, jokers, all trying to sell me old chargers for new prices. Okay, that's fine. But then bring it over. Let's just see what this thing does. 3 of them, all not authentic. So small things like that. I never imagined that I'd be taking a trip anywhere and have to buy every single thing down to safety pins. Feminine products, I make sure I bring everything with me because I don't want to have to deal with whether it's authentic, because it's not the money, right? Even if you're willing to spend, are people going to deliver you the product? So that's kind of why we're here. You know, if this video is kind of rambly, it's because of that anxiety of, am I going to even be able to put this video out, because now the camera is stopped 5-6 times and I don't even have anything to edit with, because right now I got to the point where after buying 2 different fake chargers from people for ridiculous prices, it was like 30,000, 25K, then another one went to 40. I bought from 40 and 25. Both of them were a fluke. So I've resorted, my friend is visiting me from Dubai in 2 weeks, and I literally sent a charger to her way, and they're going to deliver it to her. She has to bring it to me, and it's like small things like that. Again, if you're watching this video, you're probably like, you just don't know the right place to go. Maybe I don't, but what I'm trying to say is those are not things that I have to worry about where I'm from. And this is what I'm saying for whoever's watching this video. It is not at all a complaint. I'm just trying to give you guys, I guess, ideas and examples of things that are just so much more difficult here that you don't even think that, you don't think that buying a charger is a luxury. Does that make sense? Like, you got the money for it, you pay, you get it. Little things like that. So it is what it is. I'm gonna wrap up here for this video, and when I come back on part 2, I'm gonna try to keep the same thing on. I'm gonna try, okay? I'm gonna try to wear the same look just so it seems more legitimate. And when I come back from part 2, we're gonna talk about things that I think that most people actually ask about, and that's probably what you came here for. So I'm so sorry if I wasted your time. We're gonna touch on 4 different topics: earning opportunities, dating, misogyny, and safety. Those 4 are a big deal in Lagos of Nigeria. Okay, so I hope you guys are ready, and again, thank you for spending time with me. This is the vlog channel, so I mean, damn, technically I get to just chit chat. All right, if y'all are here for it, y'all are here for it. I'm gonna try to gather my thoughts in the process, and I'm gonna try to make these 4 bullet points straight to the point. I'm gonna try. That's what I said, and this house gonna succeed. Okay, I said I'm gonna try. Yeah, guys, so that's all I have right now. I hope I shed some light. I hope this wasn't too much of a rant. I hope it didn't come off as like a complaining video, because guys, there's much to be said, you know, in a positive light about Nigeria, but we'll get to that in part 2. If you're new, subscribe so that you don't miss the next video. Turn your notification bell on, and I'll see you guys on part 2. Bye.